Sarah Murray reporting for us. Joining us now, Sean Spicer. He's the Chief Strategist and Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Sean, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
How likely is it that the Republican nominee will have to face an open or contested convention?
Well, each contest that we go through, tomorrow is Colorado, the week after is Wyoming, then that big prize, 95 delegates in New York, is the 19th. As each one of those passes by and either of the candidates doesn't continue to rack them up in pursuit of 1237, 1237, then that likelihood becomes greater. There are still paths for both Senator Cruz and Mr. Trump to get those 1,237 bound delegates, but percentages, I think, are about 60% for Mr. Trump and 85% for Senator Cruz that they need to rack up to get the bound delegates. It's an important distinction, Wolf, that there are people that might go into a convention with, say, 1,200 bound delegates and have the support of 37. But until that vote occurs, where a majority of the delegates give someone that nomination, it would be an open convention.
The Trump strategist, Barry Bennett, told me today, one of the top strategist advisors to Trump, right now they need 60% of the remaining delegates to be guaranteed that magic number, and Cruz needs about 90%.
Right.
or something like that. But this is what Barry Bennett said. If Trump wins all of New York's 95 delegates a week from Tuesday, and he thinks that he will, then it goes down to like 50 or 55%, which is much more doable.
Well, sure. And again, if you think about it, any scenario where if you overperform what you need, you're going to need less going forward. If you underperform, you'll need even a higher amount. So the math works, to the point that however you get it. I mean, if you racked them all up real quick. But I think there's no doubt, and it was noted in the prior interview, that we are going to June 7th, whether you've got that final group of states on June 7th. California, 172
that's
delegates.
The biggest prize of the night.
That's right.
of the season. As you know, the Democrats have their super delegates, more than 700 of that. Republicans have what they're called their unbound delegates, 183 unbound delegates who can decide to go any way they want. Will they be the decisive element in all of this?
They could be, sure. And I mean, it's very possible, again, that Mr. Trump in particular has enough of a lead that he may not need them. But it's very possible that those delegates who were elected as unbound or undeclared delegates become important. I think, but one thing is really interesting. You go into a state like Colorado and Wyoming, the next two contests coming up, Colorado tomorrow night, Wyoming next week. Those delegates can run undeclared and remain unbound, but they can also run for a candidate. You can run as a Ted Cruz delegate or a John Kasich delegate or a Donald Trump delegate. In that case, you do become bound. And so some of these states that do have unbound delegates allow the delegate to run bound to a particular candidate. That creates a second scenario, too, of how that math would work.
How will the RNC, the Republican National Committee, handle what some fear could be delegate intimidation?
Well, I mean, we're going to have, the most secure and best convention that's ever been put on. I just got back from Cleveland. The preparation is unbelievable. The city's excited. It's going to be phenomenal. We're going to make sure that our delegates are protected and safe, not just them, but anyone who attends it, the members of the media, the guests of the convention, the candidates. The Secret Service and the local police have done a phenomenal job preparing. I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Will there be rules written preventing gifts, for example, being given by candidates to delegates out there who could potentially make a difference? Because there's been some concern about that, as you know.
So right now, there's no prohibition on a delegate being interacted with in the same way that a supporter can be interacted with a campaign. The Rules Committee could meet and say, going forward, when the convention starts, we hereby enact a rule that limits further gifts to X or Y. That would be something that the delegates get together once they arrive in Cleveland and decide that for the good of all, they want to put some kind of rule in place.
If the Cruz campaign or the Trump campaign or the Kasich campaign decide they want to do favors, they want to offer someone a free trip, something like that, is that okay?
Well, as far as I know, it's legal, but that's up to they would probably have to disclose that with the Federal Election Commission, as they would any other campaign expenditure. But remember, this is no different than going into an early state or a current state and trying to win the support of major activists or what have you, and saying, hey, we'd like to have dinner with you or bring you out to an event or what have you. But that currently goes on in the system right now. It's just, though, I think you're going to see a little bit more attention. Delegates that might not have gotten the same attention in the previous cycles.
You think this all could come down to who has a better delegate operation in Cleveland?
Sure. Why not? I mean, that's part of the process. I mean, and part of what this whole process is about, is winning the delegates, getting them allocated to you, and then ensuring that the delegates are selected that are loyal to you and maintain them.
Because the Trump supporters are going to be very, very upset. They're going to be very angry at the Republican Party, presumably. Let's say Trump comes in just short of that 1237 magic number. Let's say he's got 1,200 but doesn't have 1237, and they all of a sudden, the second, third ballot, they give it to somebody else. They're going to leave very, very angry. That could really hurt the Republican Party.
I think whoever doesn't win is going to not be excited. That's the nature of losing.
That close.
But I think, hold on. But I think the important thing is that we are going to run the most open and transparent process that exists, so that everybody, not just in the campaigns, but in the country, and I dare say the world, is going to watch how a process can work, a democratic process, where we go through in a very open and honest and transparent way, and everybody gets to see the votes tallied, everyone gets to see it happen live on television. And so what we want is to, even for people who don't maybe fare well in Cleveland, to walk away saying, hey, I was treated fairly, it was open, it was honest. But that's the role of delegates, remember, which is they get elected to come in and represent the people that elected them. So that's how the process works, and I expect it's going to work just the same this year in Cleveland.
And as you know, we're going to watch every step of the way.
We're 100 days out tomorrow. It's exciting.
Well, we'll be there every step of the way. Sean Spicer, thanks very much for coming.